Hey everybody, I'm Sean Robinson,
I'm Carson Grubaugh, messing around with the computer over here. Welcome to Living the Line.
and this is going to be the first in a long while of our tech videos. And you guys will remember that we did a bunch of tech videos right at the beginning of, I think it was this spring and this summer that we really hit it hard. And then I have just been totally crunched since then, and so that's the easiest thing to drop off my plate. Uh, but we've got a pressing matter right now because Carson uh, and I have been working on a few different collaborations that required a certain kind of technical. Uh, there are different technical issues involved, and so we're going to take a look at some of those today. So, Carson, so you're really into screen printing these days, huh?
Yeah, I think playing with the AI and then what we did in Abolition of Man 2 and 3,
Mm-hmm.
which here I'll show, we're going to look at some images. We're actually, me and Sean are working on a collaborative follow-up to Abolition of Man that's probably like going to be a 5 or 6 page story made with the AI. And you can see page 2 of that here. This is going to be called Prane Day. And this is based on, I would say, the main character of issue 3 of Abolition of
Right.
Man, one
Yep.
of the main characters. And this fills in his story a little bit. But the real idea here is to make a Groundhog Day story that we can redo every couple of months to show the progress that the AI has made. I just want to record it because like even in the middle of making this, they've released version 4 of Midjourney, and I'm having to make sure I keep using version 3 to get similar results because
Right.
version 4 results are so wildly different than anything I've seen. So I wanted to have a project that we could make a record of that also had some kind of narrative reason for the
Right.
repetitions. But anyways, in working on those two issues of Abolition of Man, I got really into the screen layers and colorizing the black and white art that way. And that really fascinated me. But then I started wanting to get, like, if I could take this image and put it over top of another image, but without the screen print like overlay effect of if I did like a multiply layer.
Right. So
Um,
let's
so I
start with the
was
basics. Will you show him
looking at
how?
like something like this, where
Right.
we could isolate the line art, color it, and then I could either choose to have it be a multiply layer or a normal layer, like completely blocking things out. So that's kind of the technical problem that we're looking to solve is could I take like this page here, isolate the line art, get rid of all the white so it's a transparency, and then be able to put it over something else and have control over it.
Yeah. And so that's the problem we're going to solve today.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's look at the Pranay Day page first. So will you show everybody how you have the colorization set up?
Yeah,
Because
because
this,
people,
yeah,
we did skip over that. So really, this is just a bunch of black and white images. Let's turn
will you turn
off.
off your grid? There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Turn off the grid. I'll turn off the borders. There's an extra. There we go. Sean's like, label your layers. So this is, I just do them in order and then I remember the order. So this is what we get from Midjourney, which is just black and white. And when we were doing Abolition number 2, this just looked really harsh to me,
Hmm.
like a little too dark. So we started colorizing it, and all that is we have this other layer here. And I got this from you, Sean, when you were talking
Right.
about how to make a blue line printout
Yeah.
to just use the screen. And I'm like, wait, what? Woo, you can do that. And so I have these screen layers now. And this one's even, and I'm sure other people are doing these kinds of things, but this screen layer here, this is a painting I had done that just had a lot of zoom. So I put that on there, and then yeah, you just click it onto screen and it fills in the black with
Right.
whatever colors are there.
Yeah. So the color mode needs to be screen. And then you can essentially take that layer that and make any solid color that you want to, and it screen prints that onto the line art layers below.
Well, it basically like takes that line art layer and would be like, okay, if you're gonna burn your screen
Right.
with that image, and then it's like, oh, well, that looks kind of cool too. But then it's like, okay, once you've got that screen, you could run whatever kind of ink you want through it. And that's how I'm thinking about it, is it's like, okay, well, that was my image that I burnt, and then I just happened to run that ink through it.
Right.
But with screen printing, yeah, you're right. I'm getting into screen printing. And the thing I think is real sexy about screen printing is that ability to layer. And
Right.
but I also want to be able to control, like, do I see the ink through it, through the other ink, or does it completely obscure it? And I'm having a hard time with the completely obscuring it
Yeah.
stuff.
So first off, we should just establish if you wanted to make a process in which something was printed directly with, say, Pantone colors or something like that, this is not how you would set up the image. This is how you'd set up an image that's going to be reproduced with a 4-color process or something that was set up for screen. So in other words, like you're going to look at it on a computer screen or something like that. Um, so so this is actually an excellent way to do it for that type of process. But if you're going to do, if you would show us that other example, what is that from, Carson? That page that you were showing me a cover of, the cover of.
Oh, that's a new book by, so Lorenzo Di Felice, Chroma. He had done Robert Kirkman's book. I'm gonna blank on the name of that as well, but this is his new book, Chroma. And I just, this is kind of an example of the thing I'm
Yep.
looking for, where we can delete all the white out of the line art, and then whether it's transparent or not, is an option I'll have.
Yeah. So when I'm looking at this right now, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you how I would set this up if I was a designer and somebody on the book and somebody told me, "Hey, this is what I want my cover to look like."
Hmm.
I would take and make that that skeleton figure a 1-bit image. I would make it line art,
Hmm.
and the reason for that is because in your layouts, you know, if whether you're using InDesign or whether you're using another layout program, any 1-bit image or even an 8-bit image can have a specific color associated with it. Um,
Hmm.
and so what you can do is take that into the program and associate that with a color. Now, it could be a Pantone color if you're actually going to print it with Pantone, or it could be a Pantone color just to get an approximation of it. And then it would still be screened, but then the program itself will handle all of the trapping and everything like that. So I would
Hmm.
bet, if I had to bet, um, I would bet that he set up the color image underneath the gray as a single color image. He popped that into his layout and InDesign. He made that line art as a 1-bit image, and then he played around with the colors that was associated with it
Okay.
on top of it, just like the logo. Same thing with the logo, was probably made the exact same way.
Okay.
Um, so then your logo can be, as a 1-bit image, can be associated with any color that you want to. And in the case of InDesign, something that you want white, the color is quote unquote paper.
Yeah.
And then InDesign allows you to, you know, treat it just like a normal layer. You can decide that your red dinosaur demon can be on the top. You can decide that it's going to be see-through, so that it'll actually print through the other layers, or
Yeah.
you can
Okay.
decide that it'll handle the trapping and everything for it.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm looking for, because I want to be able to decide whether it's see-through or whether it just obscures what's beneath it. And also curious about like what happens. Like here they've got some kind of dry brushy, barely, but like if there were a wash, you know, some kind of washy thing on there. Okay, so like a couple other ways that like images that I've made using this process now are like this one where I colored it like this, you know, and then put it in here. So on that one, I don't think you could lay anything behind it. But like this one where I've got wash effects, what if I wanted to then like have these white areas be transparent, but this area not be? Like, is that
Yeah.
trickier with the range of values? Or if
Uh,
we did like if we did like your stochastic screening into the 1-bit image and then colorized it, would that work?
you know, you can do that, but the thing with that is that the stochastic screening only applies to one color at a time, number one. And number two, the printer would go crazy. That they would be very unhappy with you for doing that, because their process would be much slower on their end as a result of that. So
But what if we did the stochastic screening first, got a black and white image, and then just used that as the layer that then got screened over?
yeah, I mean it's possible to do something like that, but I think that that's fairly complex for what you're actually looking for. I
Okay.
think the better way to approach something like that, if you want to retain color and value variations in your image, is to knock out some of the white. And yeah, it's a harder thing to do because it's not a purely mechanical process. Do you have that file still?
In black and white, I'm not sure if I have that one in black and white.
Okay.
I'm sure I do.
Well, then let's just use what you got here then.
Yeah, let's use this one, and
Okay.
we'll do it this way, and then I'll play around with the gradient.
Okay. So first off, let's go ahead and convert that to a line art image and get rid of all the color. So you're gonna get
That people are getting familiar with this, but for new people to the channel,
Yeah.
this is some how Sean pre-presses things. So just to explain what we're doing, I printed out the AI. And by the way, this is all for the Told to Tell anthology that we'll release this video right before the anthology comes out. So this is a page out of that from a collaboration that Sean and I did, where I printed out some AI comic page designs in the blue line, which you can see the blue there, and then I just inked over top of it and made sense out of the nonsense that the AI did. But we need to get rid of the blue. So I'm just going to make an adjustment, black and white, and just drop the cyan.
Yeah,
and the
so
blue for good measure.
This is useful to correct all different sorts of problems. So let's go ahead and get this a little bit closer to being a line art image too. If you just go make a quick curves adjustment.
I'm not used to doing this through curves.
Yeah, just raise the black point just a little bit.
Just up here?
No, to the right. Move it to the right. There you go. It just reinforces the black just a little bit, and then just knock out the teeniest bit. You got a little bit of extra white there. There you go. Perfect.
Okay, I'm used to doing that through levels. But you're using
levels,
curves now because of the scripts AI, the Adobe script process.
Exactly. Photoshop has messed up how it records levels commands, so I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
Do it with curves now, and go ahead and make it grayscale too, just because we can drop the extra data. So go to image mode, grayscale, discard. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring this in on top of the thing that you're going to apply it to. So Control A selects it all.
The Pronade is much smaller because the AI doesn't generate the biggest images.
Right.
And it's sorry, trying to talk while I do this at the same time. Plus it's in color, so we don't need as high a resolution.
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna put this over Pronade. Sorry, Pronade. Well, good enough.
That looks good. Okay. So what we're going to do is I want you to turn off all of the layers except for this one, because the tool we're about to use is not particularly good with other stuff in there. Okay, good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the select tool, and we're going to select color range. So go ahead and zoom in a little bit. If you hold Alt and use your scrolly wheel, you should be able to still zoom in. There you go. While you're in this dialog box. And so go ahead and click the white. What you're trying to do is isolate just the thing. And so go ahead and hit OK. So let's see. The fuzziness is the only real control that we have here. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what that actually looks like. And zoom in and see how much of that white is it actually getting.
It's a little, it gets all of it, but it's missing that, like just little. This is one of the major problems I found is that I always wind up with like a little bit of a gray blur around the
Yeah.
edges.
So what we need to do is actually do that one more time. Let's go ahead and deselect that, and let's sharpen this first,
Okay.
so that we're going to use sharpening to make the anti-aliasing, that blurring on the edges, a little bit lessened. Okay. So normally, we would use sharpening to make our 1-bit image survive the 1-bit making process. But in this
Yeah.
case, we're just gonna sharpen it up so that it's easier to select the white. So go ahead and raise the amount, and you're gonna raise your threshold some too, just a little bit, so that you don't pick out quite as much noise. Maybe like 10 for the threshold. Okay, looks good. So now go ahead and do the select color range again, and click in that white. Okay, and so now what we can try is either expanding our selection by 1 pixel, which will select a little bit more interior there, or you can feather your selection. So you can go to select, modify, feather. Yeah, so go ahead and expand by 1 and then feather.
Okay.
So go ahead and expand by 1 pixel. And so you're
Okay.
actually
Now
gonna,
we got some of the black trapped in there.
yeah, it actually grabbed the smallest little lines. So I actually don't think that's, I don't. We can go ahead and try it and see what you think. Go ahead and just delete it. Just hit delete.
That's, well, I mean, you're losing some of the line, but it's not the worst.
So basically, you've got a few different controls to deal with this here. Number one is the resolution space should be, yeah. So you've got your background turned on, which makes it a little harder to do it. Let's go ahead and just pop it in and see what you think.
Well, I turned the background on so I could see like what these things here looked like.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay, so we can go ahead and turn on.
So let's go ahead and color that so you get a little bit more of a. Will you turn off the grid again too? Control H.
Why is that showing up? Oh, that's no, it's a layer I have on.
Okay, gotcha. So,
but so basically, some of what's bugging me, I think, will go away when we turn this into a 1-bit image, because
right.
there's like those weird grays. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways to sort of. You're not actually going to turn this into a 1-bit image because you're not going to reproduce it that way.
Okay.
So instead, what you can do is, basically bring up the density of it. There's a couple different ways to do that. If you have the layer selected, you can go to layer. This is a new trick that I learned fairly recently. Image adjustments. We're not going to do this as an adjustment layer. Image adjustments, and go to what is it called? Something almost there. Is it selective color? Selective color. Thank you. And so this allows you to go see where it says color. So right now you're on a reds band. This basically splits it out into different bands. Yeah, go to blacks, and then raise the black of the band. So this will give you a sort of pseudo 1-bit that won't have quite as jangly an edge. You can still see you get a little bit more gray in there still. So go do the same control again.
That was under image, adjustments, selective color, black.
And change the control to neutrals. So instead of black, grab neutrals.
Oh, okay. And then
raise that.
Oh, that's a nice trick.
Sure is.
Damn. That's way better than levels, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's got its own kind of thing. Yeah, so you can grab different bands for different methods. And so now, if you
Oh,
colorize this layer, this will give you essentially like a pseudo 1-bit screen image.
okay. So then I would take this, colorize the whole layer, turn that layer to screen, and then I need to just merge these two. Oh, that didn't work.
So yeah, you can get into trouble when you merge appearances like that. So if you were sure uh, that you like it like that, turn off all the other layers, including the background. Oh, all right.
It's
So our screen trick is not going to work for this. So let's forget about the screen trick for a second. Um,
why is it not because of the layer?
I'm not sure why. That's very strange. Something to do with the way that the screen is working because you have all the white gone. I'm not sure.
It needs like the image underneath to react to. What's going on? It just disappeared all of a sudden. Like
Yeah, I
this
don't know.
layer.
Just go ahead and get rid of the. Is that down at 100%? Oh, that's on screen. You got to turn that back on a normal.
Oh, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Okay. That all right. So I should just be able to merge those two and it should stay red, but it's
Now,
not.
appearances don't work like that. So when you have complex appearance interactions, it doesn't do it that way. So
Oh, I did it earlier and mocked it up that way, but I don't know how I did it.
Okay.
But
What?
anyways,
Yeah. So why do you want to merge it? Just out of curiosity.
because the screen layer is currently affecting the colors
Okay. Gotcha.
on the Pronade, so we
Yeah.
want to get it only onto the
So
line art so it doesn't affect the other
okay.
colors.
So delete your top thing there. I'm going to show you how to do this. This is a quite the trick. I use this all the time. Go to do the exact same thing again, and you missed a dialog box. So go up to image, layer, new adjustment layer.
New, where's that at?
Oh, sorry, new fill
adjustment,
layer, new fill
new
layer,
fill layer.
and go ahead and solid color. And then when this dialog box comes up, look, there's a button that says use previous layer to create clipping mask. So go ahead and do that, and do your normal thing where you create that as a screen layer.
Oh, and then you can just pick. Well, we don't need to do a screen layer.
Yeah, you're making a fill layer as a screen. Yep.
So, but I don't need a screen. I can just have that fill layer the color I want it.
Exactly. So, but so
And then
basically,
this.
yep, you
Oh,
got it.
okay. That's just the mask. Okay,
You
cool.
see how it's got a little arrow down by the color. So
Yeah.
that arrow indicates that it's only affecting the layer below it.
Okay.
There's probably another way to do it, but the only way that I know how to do that is by doing it in the dialog box when you make it first.
Okay. Well, that actually probably solves my other question about grays. Well, no, because does this have to be?
No.
So let's try this then.
Yeah.
We'll just open this charcoal drawing here. So I want to see now. So if I put a grayscale image, oh, that's a pretty small image. That's what happens when you keep photographs of things that you did in junior college.
Right.
It's a 20-year-old charcoal drawing. So we could walk me through that again. That's make an adjustment layer.
Yeah. Do you want to get rid of the white first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how are we going to do that with the grayscale? Walk me through that.
So do the same thing. You're going to select color range and zoom in by holding Alt and using your scrolly wheel. And
Control
then,
plus also works.
Oh, okay. And then you're gonna use your eyedropper to select the white that you want. So an area that you consider white to your eye right now.
Yeah.
select with the eyedropper. And then the fuzziness is
Oh,
your
we need to
one.
get rid of.
Yeah, you got to turn off everything else.
Well, damn, Photoshop. Pay attention to everybody else.
If you just hold shift and you fly down while you're holding the single click, it'll take all those off.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that selection, when you're selecting the white, you have a few different controls you can use. So color range, select color range is definitely the best tool for getting the initial selection. Like I said, you click anywhere you want, and then you can adjust the fuzziness to get more or less, and then you expand or contract, and then finally the feathering will make the edges soft if you want them soft. So that feathering control will essentially make it so that the selection itself is not hard. So if you ever wonder how photographers do like edits on people's hair and things like that, they use the feathering controls to do that, because otherwise the hair would look unnaturally sharp in the places that they're chopping it off.
And you can see that along the edge here, it's pretty nice and fuzzy.
Yep.
Okay, so then we're gonna do.
So you're gonna go to layer, new fill layer, solid color. Yep.
Create clipping. Mask. Okay, and then I pick. Oh, it's not handling the range
That's
of
because
values.
you didn't select the. Go ahead and do it again. So go to layer, new fill layer, solid color, and then use previous layer to create clipping mask. And where it says mode, make that screen.
Oh, okay, because I did it normal on the other
There
one
you
and
go.
it worked fine.
Look at that.
That looks pretty great.
Sure is. That is quite the
And
trick.
then
And
just to see what this looks like on the edges.
and if you can do any other blending tricks that you want to, but you have to select the image itself, because right now you're selecting the fill layer on your layers panel. So go down one layer, and you can make any blending mode trick that you want to. So for instance, you could put it on screen now, or you could put it on overlay, which is often a really helpful one, or multiply, which would show everything through.
Yeah, I think the multiply would be what you'd have to do on this thing. I mean, any of them could get an effect. I'll have to play with that though, because this one doesn't have this image doesn't have holes in it. Basically, it doesn't have anywhere where the white. I mean, we could have expanded what we counted as white and deleted out some of those colors, I guess.
Yep. And then the other trick I want to bring your attention to, especially if you're going to go back and forth about your selection, is rather than deleting it, what you do is you make a layer mask. And so then you can later go back in and play with the feathering and things like that instead of always being stuck with your initial selection.
Oh, there we go. We have a hole in the shoulder though. That's nice. I just wanted to see what happens. There you go. That's kind of cool. If I can get something behind it. It's just that weird. I guess you're kind of stuck with that like foggy white at the edges if you're getting a value range.
Yeah, it depends. You can sharpen it up like we did to the other one before. You can sharpen it before you do your selection. You can use the feathering to soften up that selection. But it sounds like this is the opposite of what you want. You don't like the feathering. You'd rather have it be hard or crisp edged. In which case, like I said, I'd select use your sharpening before you actually do it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what it would do with a gray image, like because it makes sense. Like if it's got a gradient that's fading to white, there's got to be some cutoff point, or like little bits of this color just have to show through every. That's why I was thinking, like one thought I had was to convert it to the 1-bit image with the stochastic screening, and then it's all just dots, and then I could colorize the dots, but then like where there weren't dots, you would get the color showing through. I think that might just be a different effect. So I'll play around with that and try that too,
Great.
because I think that might be a different thing.
I I should say too, like it has been a long time, idea of mine to kind of go nuts and make something that really is like a limited color book that seems to have a much broader range of colors. So
Hmm.
everything that we've done today is applicable in the 4-color process. Like this is like you're going to deliver a file and everything is going to be screened and printed in 4 colors. But there are variations of this, like you're alluding to, where you could do it where only certain elements are screened or nothing's screened. Like if you guys look at the cover of Strange Death of Alex Raymond, that was actually printed 2-color. So it's a really, really vibrant looking cover, but it's just
Yeah.
printed with 2 different color plates interacting with each other. And so you could really see doing an entire book that way that really pushed it really far. Yeah, so diffusion dither, another fun way.
Is that the stochastic screening?
Yep.
Because now if I did, okay, so I've got this, and then we're going to, do you get what I'm doing here?
Yeah, yeah.
You're giggling. Where did it go though? Oh, where's my image? Okay, so now all of the gray is represented out of, it's really an off on image. So now
right.
if I select that white range, I'm going to get rid of, this will be interesting. This is a worthy test to run on here, because this is kind of what I was thinking. Okay, so I'm going to select color range. Sean's like, you're a lunatic, please stop.
And make the fuzziness go down before you do that.
Like all the way.
Yep. Make it, well, no, not quite all the way, because this is the different resolution space.
Maybe like 2.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to select again.
Oh yeah.
I
got to do my shift. I learned that. Oh dang, that's a cool trick too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an important video here, huh?
Yeah. So
is that it?
No, that's your original one.
Where did my other layer go? Oh,
it's below. If only you labeled them.
Yeah, well, we're doing it on the fly.
Yeah. So
if only you would be a professional.
So one more time, filter.
Oh yeah, we're selecting. Select color range. I'm gonna grab them whites.
Yeah. You got it. That did it. I think.
Okay. Delete that out. Oh, this is gonna be closer to what I was thinking. Now we're going to do layer, new fill layer, solid color.
Use previous layer to create clipping mask. And don't forget mode. Screen.
I don't think you need the screen mode.
You do.
No, look at.
Oh, look at that.
Because it's all just black and white,
right.
So it's been deleted.
All right.
Once we deleted the white, we don't need it. So I could colorize this. Okay, so that looks pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Because that's pretty print ready, right?
Yeah, it should be.
And then see, that's a much different interaction with what's below it, because it's still blocking. It's still blocking everything.
Oh, take off the previous iterations of the figure.
It's still blocking everything, but the values are more see-through.
Right.
Yeah, okay, this is much closer to what I was. Well, it's good, because then you can choose.
Right.
Like, and then I could still do all of these different things with it too. Like I could put it on the multiply and have it interact with the colors, or I could just have it cover up. But it's cool because like it's still mixing. You still get like a visual color mixing,
right?
But you're not getting the overlay color mixing. So it's like a multiply treats it like a transparent wash, whereas this is more like doing opaque stippling on top of things.
Yeah, and we should say that the stochastic screening prevents the screened layer from causing any types of problems when it's printed. So stochastic, you guys are not familiar. If you're not familiar with it in terms of like a tech, it's randomized. The placement of the dot or scribble or whatever is randomized. And so because of that, it prevents, moire patterns or other undesirable patterns from happening when it's printed after the fact. Yeah,
See,
that's
and
really something else.
the other thing that you could get with this is then you can use it as like in oil painting, I would call this a velatura layer, where I can make it lighter, like a milky opaque layer. In this case, it's just like visual color mixing. It's like stippling, but like that's a cool effect too, these fog layers. Okay, well, this just broke my brain and gave me 5,000. Yeah, but you know what? Like, I hope we see some of this now.
Yeah.
This is a trick that can make, and like you said, you could get stranger. Well, that's what people are doing with those risographs, is
Right.
instead of CMYK, they're using like chartreuse, like neon
Right.
orange, and like gloss or something, and they'll mix those four colors to get what appears to be a wider range of
Right.
but stranger colors than we're used to seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that there is really very few limitations to the current print technology. Especially if you know how to manipulate all of these things. And there's no reason that you couldn't do a combination of all of these things. You do something like this that you prepare in 4-color, and then some elements you might decide, okay, I want this to be an actual bitmap, and you'd essentially just make a mock-up of it in your image and then prepare it as a bitmap afterwards and pop it
Yeah.
in on top.
Yeah, this is so cool. All right. Well, thank you for helping me problem solve that.
Yeah.
I apologize ahead of time for all of the late night text messages you're going to be, dude, check this out.
Well, I think it's awesome. One of the things I've really appreciated seeing your development as an artist in the past couple months is how you're using some of your painterly sensibilities and mixed media sensibilities in, what starts as a line art piece. And I think that, it really is kind of breaking free the cage there.
Well, I think what it was is it once I got this screen stuff and saw it applied over things that have a real range of value to them, it was like, oh shit, I can do what I do, as because I do very different things when I paint and when I draw. I don't know
Right.
why, but the medium just changes. This lets me do the things I do when I draw, but then put them in a situation where I can colorize them more
Right.
easily and get closer to visions of things I wanted to do in painting. But just I don't know, my brain just didn't work with form in the same way when I'm working in color than when I'm working in pure value. So it was a way to link these two things that have been very disparate for me. The other thing that I think is really worth talking about, given this whole like little tech episode we did, is that there's been a real switch in my mind, probably just since working on Abolition of Man, but really Strange Death and working with you and doing the channel, is like when we started Strange Death, I was still in the fine art mind, and I thought it needs to look good on a wall, and so I would draw like the same picture like 8 times instead of just copying and statting. I
Right.
knew I could copy and stat it, but I wanted that thing. I've now switched to like the art object that I'm interested in now is the finished book.
Right.
And I don't really care about if that looks good on the wall or if it's just like 10 scraps of shitty paper and a bunch of digital processes. Like I think I'm becoming more of a printmaker now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm interested in those techniques, and um I think that's really valuable. I think people thinking like we are making books and
Right.
getting rid of that kind of fine art pride and focusing on the book as the kind of museum bound object. That is very worthwhile to me lately.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate hearing your sort of rationale, and that makes a lot of sense to me in terms of the connecting the disparate skills that are sort of compartmentalized. Uh, you know, I'm finding a similar kind of mental process happening with my going back to working on a comic that I haven't, that I drew 200 pages of uh, 12 years ago. and then trying to match the style. It's like, oh, but I've got all these other things I can bring. And it's like, oh, well, can you? Can you really bring them? And then, like, you've got this sort of mental process. You don't want them to crash into each other, which is sort of what I've been experiencing right now. Like, oh, the brushwork, I can use my brush, but it can't look like brushwork. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you're kind of stuck by the constraints of that old style too. Like when you're not working on that style, we're not showing it all because it's only 3 pages, and we want you to go buy the Told to Tell anthology,
right.
Which there will be a link for somewhere, because I'm going to hold on to this episode until he's ready to go. But the last piece that you sent me for that had some color layers in it,
Right.
that you had done kind of as ink on its own
Mm-hmm.
and screened in. So I think part of that is you're stuck by this old style. And I can already see you itching, and like some of these things that we've been playing with are like getting to you too, and getting
Oh,
in your
yeah.
process, but it's like you're not really allowed to use them yet.
Right.
And
Exactly. I kind of feel like
but
I'm holding on to a secret, right?
it looked amazing though. Like that thing you sent, it looks kind of like your kids, or you as a youth, the kid with the ball cap, the long hair, and 2 color layers, and fuck, oh, it looks so sexy.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that's exactly how I did it. I mean, basically, I did it with the procedures that we're talking about here, except I made them all like pseudo bitmaps. The idea would be that I could eventually make a comic with a 3 color comic that would be like that. But then you got the pressure of picking the colors. So
Yeah, but I mean that's the fun part. And what you're talking about with experiments and color make, like especially now seeing this process that we just did, I could imagine doing like fully rendered value drawings
mm-hmm.
for each of 4 colors that you want, and then
Right.
converting them and putting them together like that, and
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of really cool visual color mixing,
Yeah.
but not working like a pointillist, like
Right.
still just working like someone who draws, and then letting the computer handle the pointillism.
Exactly. Right.
Well, shit, we're going to be playing, aren't we?
I think so. I'm excited about it.
We're going to have to just do a book of like print experiments at some point. Like just here's a bunch of comics that try some shit.
Yeah.
It'll be the world's most expensive book.
It's true.
But it will be a damn good piece of art.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed.
House on Fire by Matt Battaglia is a just gorgeous book where Matt's kind of making an emotional response to the years of COVID, and wrapping that into a sci-fi dystopian future that really the sci-fi dystopian's backgrounded, and you're focused on the emotional journey of 2 characters in a really beautiful way. And then that's enhanced by Matt's like really awesome, loose, kind of Paul Popish dry brush work. And then Sean and Matt have worked to get this second kind of orange spot color in there that's going to look really, really beautiful, and has allowed Matt to use his dry brush technique to add tone to the thing too. So with Sean's production technique, this is going to be a gorgeous book with a lot of heart. Issue number 5 of The Abolition of Man is a real treat for me. We got to collaborate with one of my heroes, Luciano Floridi, whose philosophy of information, I think, is one of the most important things going in the world right now, has been essential to forming my own philosophical worldview, and has been essential to my art practice over the last 20 years. So I'm so excited to get to collaborate with Luciano. He provided a wonderful essay to wrap up this series. It's a focus on how humans maintain dignity in the age of AI, and I think to end off this project, this is the perfect kind of coda to the whole project. So really excited about this, and hope you all get to go pick it up. And I'm going to put it out there now. I think it's probably the most erudite comic that's ever been written. So please go check that out. I think this book really matters. Make sure to like, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell.